Good morning, students. In last class, what we discussed about catalytic property. See, already we discussed what is the catalytic property means. It is not directly participated in the reaction, but increase the rate of the reaction. So that is the catalyst. Some examples. I think we seen. I don't know, but once again you see the examples of catalytic property. See, in the preparation of H2SO4, so in the inorganic famous, in the preparation of H2SO4, which one we are using as a catalyst? Platinum or vanadium pentoxide. So platinum or vanadium, that is the D black elements only. Next, preparation of ammonia, Haber's process. In Haber's process, what are that? Iron is a catalyst. Next, molybdenum is a promoter. That. Next, suppose KClO3 you want to dissociate. So here we are using MnO2. Manganese is a D black element, so it is dissociated into KCl plus 2 moles means 3 volt. Oxygen is liberated. Suppose you take a vegetable oil. So vegetable oil is what? Unsaturated. So this is treated with nickel hydrogen. So treated with hydrogen in the presence of nickel. So you are getting vanaspati. So vanaspati or dalda. So this is saturated fat. That is the saturated fat. Suppose if any other calcium oxychloride, CaOCl2, so that bleaching powder in the presence of cobalt and its salts, that is also dissociated. You are getting CaCl2 plus half water. So whatever the catalyst is, everything is D black element only. Next, in the your organic chemistry also so many are coming. So next, remaining we have 3 properties are remaining. That is a magnetic property. So magnetic property, in that they are showing paramagnetic nature. Next, color property is there. Next, mixing of metals, that is nothing but alloys. See, I think it is a 7th property, paramagnetic nature. So special properties we are discussing in this paramagnetic nature. So first of all, in magnetic nature, magnetic property. So magnetic property we have 2 are there. So majorly if you take means 2. One is a paramagnetic, another one is a diamagnetic. So many are there, ferromagnetism, ferrimagnetism, like that, anti-ferro also. But mainly 2 parts, paramagnetic and diamagnetic. If the given compound contains unpaired single electron, is present, then they will show paramagnetism. If all electrons are paired, so then it is a diamagnetism. Suppose if you take here 1 unpaired single electrons or 2 unpaired single electrons, anything, unpaired electron 1 is there, that is enough. So but here, suppose the electrons are there but they are paired up. So there is no unpaired single electron. This type you call it as a diamagnetism. So this is. Next, another important, if paramagnetic substance, you put external magnetic field. So in external magnetic field, external magnetic field. In external magnetic field, if you put paramagnetic substance, para substance you put, this weight will be increases. So this is the experimental identification. You can identify which is the para and dia. So in external magnetic field, any weight is increases means there is a paramagnetic substance. Suppose in external magnetic field, if you put the substance, which substance? Dia substance you can put. So the weight is decreases. So the weight is decreases means experimentally you can find out this is the diamagnetic. So theoretically, how you identified given electronic configuration, all are paired electrons. If theory means all, in any unpaired single electron one is there, then you can find out. So this process is theory. This process is experimental. So we can identify. Next, here one formula is there. So how we can calculate the paramagnetism and diamagnetic nature. So first of all, this magnetic nature due to unpaired single electron. So the magnetic momentum. Magnetic momentum. So indicated with mu. So the formula is what? Under root of n into n plus 2 Bohr magnetons. Otherwise, under root of 4s into s plus 1 Bohr magnetons. So if whatever the given compound, you find out unpaired electrons, s is total spin. Total spin of electrons. And n equal to number of unpaired electrons. So anyone you can take, either this formula or this formula, your value will get same thing only. So S is the total spin, n equal to number of unpaired electrons. Suppose you take example, so copper. Copper is what? 29. 29 means you write 3d10 4s1. So D, out of 10 electrons they are completely filled. So here 1 electron is there. So that's why, so this is showing unpaired single electron is there. So it is showing paramagnetic. Next, suppose Cu plus 1. So that is what? Cuprous. So cuprous you take. Then what happens? The electronic configuration is 3d10. So 10 out of 10. Here all are paired. So that's why all are paired means this is a diamagnetic substance. So unpaired single electrons are not there. So that's why mu equal to 0 Bohr magnetons. Now you take cupric, Cu plus 2. So Cu plus 2 means cupric. So cupric salt you are taken means the electronic configuration is 3d9 4s0. So 9 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One unpaired single electron is there. So that's why it is a paramagnetic substance. What is the mu value? So that is under root of 1 is there. So 1 into 1 plus 2. That is root 3. Next, otherwise mu equal to 4s. S means what? N equal to 1. S equal to plus half. one single electron magnetic momentum is plus half. Suppose you take 4s into s plus 1, half plus 1. So that is also here 2 under root of 2 2s, 2 into, this is what? 3 by 2. 2 cancel. That is also root 3. So you can take this formula or this formula. Value you are getting same. So that. Next, some more examples. So before going to this, so one direct formula in entrance point of view. So how to write? If given atom or ion or compound, whatever it may be, you find the number of unpaired electrons. Number of unpaired electrons equal to n. Suppose the n value is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. If unpaired electrons you count down, in that value you are getting n, then magnetic momentum mu equal to n.7 to n.9 Bohr magnetons. Direct your answer. Suppose one unpaired electron is there, so direct mu value you write 1.7. See, if n value, unpaired electrons, magnetic momentum, if 1 is there, mu value 1.7 Bohr magnetons you write down. Suppose unpaired electrons are 2, you write 2.8 Bohr magnetons or 7. Suppose 3 unpaired electrons are there, so 2.7 something. So this is 3.8 Bohr magnetons. 4 is there, so 4.8 Bohr magnetons. 5 unpaired are there, 5.9 Bohr magnetons. So direct 0.7 to 0.9 Bohr magnetons with the number. So maximum is 5 only. So that's why 5.9 Bohr magnetons. Suppose if you take example Fe plus 2 ferrous. So Fe plus 3 you write ferric. So then what is the electronic configuration? Iron is what? 26. You can write as 3d6 4s2. So Fe plus 2. Fe plus 2 means 2 electrons you remove. Your answer is 3d6. So 6 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Unpaired electrons are 4. So unpaired electrons are there. So that's why it is what? Paramagnetic. So direct you can say it is a paramagnetic substance, unpaired electrons. N equal to 4 is there. So your mu value 4.8 Bohr magnetons. Otherwise 4.9 Bohr magnetons. Suppose Fe plus 3. Fe plus 3 means what? 2, 1 gone here, 1 is gone here. So your answer is 3d5. So 3d5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 unpaired electrons are there. So that's why it is showing paramagnetism. So mu equal to. So unpaired electrons are how many? 5. Unpaired electrons are 5. Then magnetic momentum is what? 5.9 Bohr magnetons. Directly you can write the answer. So this is a important one about magnetic nature. So next, 8th one, color property. See, all the D block elements. So D block elements are showing colors only. So why the color is coming? So what is the reason behind the color? So how you are observing colors? See, suppose you take object. So you take one object. So you send sunlight. Suppose sunlight is falling on the object. Some amount of energy is absorbed by the object and something is reflected. So reflected light. So if it is fell on our eye, by using our retina, so then you can see the colors. So first of all, the light must be falling on the object. Something is absorbed. So something, some amount is absorbed. And remaining some amount is reflected. So that reflected light is falling on our eye. Then you are observing the colors. Next, who is observing that amount of light? So that is also unpaired single electron. So who is the responsible for color means unpaired single electron. So unpaired single electrons are the responsible for colors. So how to explain this one? So in our D black elements, so now we will see that one. See, already in complex compounds we discussed it. So the d orbital contains what? So d orbital, it contains 5 suborbitals. So already in complex compounds we discussed it. In that 5 are what? Dx square minus y square, dz square. These you called as Eg orbitals. So where these are present? On the axis. So just you go through back and see there in previous class whatever we discussed in the complex compound. Next dxy, dyz, dxz. So these three you called as triply generated T2G orbitals. So these are available between the axes. So between the XYZ axis, these are T2G. Suppose in the D black element compounds, what happens? Ground state. Ground state d orbital is excited. So 5. This is called as a degenerated orbitals. So now, because of this disturbance on the axis, between the axis, the d orbital is splitting into 2 types, depending upon the compound. So T2G orbitals are moving down and Eg orbitals are going above. Just you assumption. This is energy. See, now suppose the electron is here. Sunlight is falling. Suppose the sunlight is falling means inside the compound, this unpaired single electron is absorbing the light and it is excited. Excited to occupy high energy level. Next, highest energy increases. Energy increases means stability decreases. So, if electron is going to this highest energy means stability is low. So that's why again this electron is coming down. So while coming back, whatever the energy absorbed, that energy is coming outside as a color. So by seeing our eye with retina, you are observing different colors. So in what way? Suppose you take copper sulfate. So copper sulfate 5H2O, you are observing as a blue color. So why copper sulfate is observed blue color means light is falling copper sulfate is ejecting blue colored light. So that's why you are observing as a blue color. Suppose FeSO4. FeSO4 some X amount of H2O. It is looking like a green color. So why it is green color means light is falling on this and it is ejected green light. So next ferric Fe+3 you will get a red color. So because of unpaired single electrons absorbing light and jumping to above and coming back to ground state. In the meanwhile absorbed light is coming outside as colors. Next here important one more is there, complementary colors. So which color is absorbed? Which color is absorbed? This is called as absorption light. So this is emission. So based on this also they are given one logic. So which light is absorbed, which light is coming outside. So that we call as a complementary colors. So one important complementary colors. So we have VIBGR. So violet, indigo, blue, G, Y, O, R. See, if any D black element absorbs red, absorbs emission. See, if red color absorbs means who is outcoming means that is green. If D black elements absorbs a red color means outcoming is green. Suppose green color is absorbed, so outcoming is a red color. Suppose orange color is absorbed, so orange color is absorbed means outcoming is blue. Suppose blue is observed, outcoming is orange. See, suppose violet color is observed, yellow coming outside. If yellow is observed, violet color is coming outside. So these are called as complementary colors. So one of the important one. Next, the main and last important point, that is the mixing of metals. So we are discussing the special properties of D black elements. In that special properties, 9th one. So that is the mixing of metals. So this is nothing but alloys. See, why the mixing? Metals are mixing with each other. So their crystalline structure. So crystalline structure is the same. Same crystalline structure is there. Same properties are there. And close boiling point and melting points. Because of this reason, so the metals are mixing with each other and they can form alloys. So alloys is what? A homogeneous mixture. Homogeneous mixture of two or more metals. See, the homogeneous mixture of two or more metals you call as alloy. So why they are mixing with each other? Because of same crystalline structure, same properties. So here some important. So actually here mercury is in a liquid. See, any metal plus mercury, this combination you called as amalgam. So many entrances they are asked. Suppose sodium combining with mercury, so you are getting what? Sodium amalgam. Next, suppose zinc metal react with mercury, so that you are getting zinc amalgam. So many times they are asked questions. In sodium amalgam, what is the oxidation state of sodium? See, here also oxidation state 0 and 0. Because of this is what? Physical property. It is a physical property. It is not a chemical property. So always you remember, many times they ask, there is no reaction between these two. So just it is mixed with this because of crystalline structure is the same. So that's why it is a physical property. So oxidation state is 0 and 0. Zinc oxidation state also 0, mercury also 0. Remember, there is no exchange of any electrons. There is no chemical property. So some examples we will see here. Some examples. So gunmetal, copper, tin, zinc. So copper, tin, zinc, you are getting gun metal. So next, bell metal and bronze. So copper, tin. Next, German silver. Copper, zinc. So nickel, copper, zinc. So in German silver there is no silver. Combination of that. Next, permanent magnets. So all nickel, aluminium, nickel, cobalt, iron. So nickel, cobalt, iron, all are what? D block element with aluminium. So that is. So nichrome. So nickel, chromium, manganese, iron. So this is what? Highly strengthened. So that is what? Heat resistance. So that is a nichrome. So that is majority of alloys. They are what? D block elements only.